Welcome to this presentation on OpenText Secure Content Manager for OneDrive. In today's digital workplace, content is everywhere, especially in platforms like Microsoft OneDrive. But without proper governance, valuable information can become fragmented, unsecured, and non-compliant. In this presentation, we'll explore how Secure Content Manager empowers organizations to manage OneDrive content in place, securely and transparently to alignment with regulatory and business requirements. Let's walk through a typical scenario to see how OneDrive integration with SCM works in practice. Alex Wilbur, an engineer, creates documents in OneDrive. One of his folders contains content that needs to be declared as records. Jeremy Bloxham, the records manager, must be able to view those records and manage their retention policies. Meanwhile, Alex continues to work as usual. He still needs full access to edit his documents in OneDrive. This setup ensures compliance without disrupting productivity, and it's a great example of how seamless the integration can be. What Secure Content Manager integration with OneDrive will do in this situation? We see Alex Wilbur in his environment, creating and managing documents directly in his OneDrive workspace. He's working in the Attachments folder, adding project files and keeping everything organized. Now we switch to Jeremy's perspective as the records manager. Using Secure Content Manager, he can easily search for declared records, like the one Alex created earlier. Records are declared behind the scenes. These are manage-in-place records, meaning the document stays in its original OneDrive location, but is now governed as a formal record. Jeremy can view metadata, track retention, and apply policies without moving the file. This ensures compliance while preserving the user's workflow and access. Even though the document remains in OneDrive, SCM allows him preview it on demand, pulling it dynamically from the source. This means no duplication, no disruption. And because the content is indexed by SCM, Jeremy can search across titles, metadata, and even full text. Records are fully discoverable and accessible for governance and compliance. And finally, we return to Alex. From his point of view, nothing has changed. He continues working in OneDrive just as before. His documents remain in their original location, and he can edit, share, and collaborate without interruption. The experience for Alex is transparent. This is the essence of managing records in place. Governance without friction, enabling users to stay productive while ensuring compliance. Let's now look at how documents are captured into the system. In this demo, we'll focus on the Document Queue feature, which provides a streamlined way to collect and process content for record declaration. But keep in mind, this isn't the only option. Capture can also happen through Microsoft Teams integration or via custom API scripts. Document queues offer a simple yet powerful way to synchronize a folder with Secure Content Manager. By monitoring a designated folder, SCM can automatically capture incoming files, declare them as records, and assign default metadata, such as record type and container. This process ensures consistency and saves time, especially for high-volume or routine content. Whether files are dropped manually, generated by a system, or routed from another source, document queues streamline the capture workflow and reinforce governance from the moment content arrives. We see here the creation of a document queue for managing records in place. First, we select the source type, here, it's Microsoft 365, and choose the specific folder we want to monitor. Then, we define the target manage-in-place adapter, which links the source to SCM for governance. We'll explore that adapter concept in more detail later. Finally, we configure default metadata values like record type and container. This setup ensures that any document dropped into the folder is automatically captured and classified, with no manual intervention needed. This quick view shows how the integration works within Microsoft Teams. Using the Secure Content Manager app, users like Alex can access their OneDrive files directly. From there, they can check whether a document has been declared as a record and even trigger that declaration if needed. It's a seamless experience, bringing governance into the collaboration space without disrupting the flow of work. As you can see here, the integration lets us view documents that were previously captured by the document queue. The record number is displayed directly in Teams, and with a simple click, we can expose the associated metadata from Secure Content Manager. This includes classification, retention details, and source information, all without leaving the collaboration environment. To enable this integration, the first step is to define the connection between Secure Content Manager and your Microsoft 365 tenant. This setup establishes trust and allows SCM to interact with OneDrive, Teams, and other services securely. This part of the setup is done in SCM Enterprise Studio, specifically in the properties of the dataset. Here, we configure the connection to Microsoft 365 by enabling OpenID authentication and in the Microsoft 365 tab, entering the Microsoft Tenant ID and setting the application secret key. These credentials establish secure communication between SCM and the Microsoft 365 environment. Now that the connection to Microsoft 365 is established, the next step is to configure the Manage in Place feature. This allows Secure Content Manager to govern documents directly in their original location without moving them. With the Manage in Place approach, Secure Content Manager holds a catalog of declared records, but the actual documents remain in their original source system, whether that's OneDrive, Teams, or another repository. Each record in SCM includes an external ID that points back to the source document. This linkage allows SCM to apply retention policies and even trigger disposal actions on the original file, all without moving or duplicating content. The Manage in Place benefits are: first, performance. Documents don't need to be moved into SCM's electronic store, which reduces overhead and speeds up access. Second, user experience. Users can continue working with their files as usual, often unaware that the content is now governed as a record. Third, record management. Full governance capabilities, classification, retention, audit, can be applied to documents stored externally. And finally, protection. A backup copy can be retained in SCM, ensuring long-term preservation and compliance. The Manage in Place adapter is created in SCM interface. It starts with assigning a name to the adapter, selecting the connection type for the external source, like Microsoft 365, Azure, or Google Drive. Optionally, we can link it to a document store if we want SCM to keep backup copies of the source documents. This adapter acts as a bridge. Let's take a closer look at the backup option available when configuring Manage in Place. While documents remain in their original location, we can choose to store a backup copy in Secure Content Manager. This is done by linking the Manage in Place adapter to a document store. It's an optional but valuable feature that adds an extra layer of protection, ensuring long-term preservation and recovery capabilities, especially for critical or regulated content. It reinforces compliance. When a document is backed up in SCM, two key metadata fields are automatically populated. First, the backup MIP file. This is the file name of the backup copy stored in the SCM document store. Second, the backup MIP store. This indicates the specific document store location where the backup resides. As shown earlier, the backup option is configured directly in the Manage in Place adapter properties. In this example, the backup store is MIP Doc Store Backup. In this configuration panel, we can also define the scan interval, how often SCM checks the source location for new or updated documents. By setting this value, we control the frequency of synchronization, ensuring that new versions are detected and backed up if needed. Entering 0 disables the scan entirely, which may be useful in highly controlled environments. When automatic scanning is disabled, either for performance reasons or tighter control, administrators can still run scans manually or via command line whenever needed. This is done directly from the SCM interface using the Scan Managed in Place Items option. When running a Manage in Place scan, administrators have the option to automatically correct missing files. If a document is no longer found in its original location, SCM can restore it from the backup copy, if one exists. If no backup is available, the system flags the item as missing for further review. This feature adds resilience to the governance process, ensuring that declared records remain accessible and traceable, even if the source content is accidentally deleted or moved. One final point. For the Manage in Place scan to run, the corresponding event processor must be enabled in Enterprise Studio. This is done in the Dataset's Event Processing configuration, where we activate the Manage in Place scan and assign it to a workgroup server. Just like standard records, Manage in Place records in Secure Content Manager fully support the hold functionality. This means you can apply legal or operational holds. When adding a Manage in Place record to a hold, users have flexible options depending on the level of protection required. They can simply add the record to the hold to track it. Alternatively, they can choose to transfer the document into SCM for full control or capture it as a revision, preserving the current version while allowing future updates. The transfer function allows us to move a Manage in Place record into Secure Content Manager's electronic store. This can be triggered in different ways, like the hold action as we just saw. As shown here, the transfer of a Manage in Place record into SCM can be triggered manually. This gives users control over how and when a document is moved from its source, like OneDrive, into the Content Manager store. Options include transferring just the current revision, including renditions and previous versions, or even deleting the source document after transfer. In addition to manual transfers on individual records, Secure Content Manager offers a bulk transfer capability through the Record Store Transfer function. This allows administrators to move multiple Manage in Place records into a designated document store in one operation. You can choose to transfer just the current revision, include renditions and previous versions, or even delete the source documents after transfer. Manage in Place records also benefit from the Electronic Lifecycle Management function defined at the record type level. This means SCM can automatically move documents from their source into a designated record store after a defined retention period. For example, records can be transferred 3 years after closure, based on metadata like date closed. Let's summarize what we have seen. To summarize, the Manage in Place integration with OneDrive and Secure Content Manager brings together flexibility, transparency, and governance. First, we can capture documents from OneDrive into SCM without disrupting user workflows. Second, the document remains live in OneDrive, accessible and editable, while being governed as a record. And third, once declared, the record in SCM follows global governance rules, ensuring compliance, retention, and auditability. This approach balances operational agility with enterprise-grade control. That brings us to the end of this presentation. Thank you for listening.